meditation and love, which is what all these practices are about, meditating, clearing the mind, and then in that space, loving, that's it. That's really it, because you're already fixed, you're already healed, you don't need to fix yourself, you don't need to change yourself, you don't need to change anything. You just need to clear what's in the way of that perfection. And that ego mind of us is all about fixing and healing and trying to achieve and trying to get somewhere else. It's all about now isn't good enough, it's incomplete. So how do I get somewhere else? And that's kind of like most people's lifetime. It's this constant, how do I get somewhere else? And then you get there and it's how do I get somewhere else? And that's life. And so this work, which is so foreign to the ego, that's why it's hard to do it. That's why we put off meditating or we put off loving, because the ego goes, oh, that's nothing, that's a waste of time, they don't deserve it. That's a big one, isn't it, when it comes to loving other people? It's like, no, they don't deserve it, I'll just think instead, or I'll just battle, or I'll just do all this other stuff that doesn't work. And like I've said before, it works as far as it evolves us. Like we've done all this evolution. The world is doing all this evolution. I mean, if you stand back from the world now and look, the world's evolving more than ever before. And I don't mean because it's worse than ever before. Who knows? Like, I haven't been alive. I don't remember all the different times on Earth. But there's the technology, and to be honest, who knows if there's technology back then, but what I'm talking about is with all this technology, and we hear the conversations and the chatter and the moaning and the complaining, because that's all that Twitter is, really, isn't it? It's not much love and silence. It's judgment, opinions, blah, 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 all this stuff that we can agree with some of it and disagree with some of it, but who cares? That's all the weightlifting, and it's great, but you want to step out of that and love, because the only power on the planet is love. And the funny thing about that line that we've heard so many times and we kind of cringe because it's like, no, it isn't. It's weak. That's what the ego says. It is the only power. Why? Because it frees you, your real self, to step forward. It frees the power. And it's the only power that doesn't boomerang straight back on yourself like all the other stuff. So silence and love is what all this work is. And like I said, sometimes I said this at the beginning, sometimes we don't meditate enough, and then we start going into overthinking, and things get really complicated, and we discover a new book and all these theories, and it gets really complex. But the problem is the complexity. It's not the subject, it's that we're in the complexity and we need to get out of the complexity. Thoughts are the problem, always. That mind chatter, the solution is get out of it. And I don't want to say thoughts are the problem, because I've said this before, overthinking is a great way to be because you evolve a lot. If you're one of these people who've got like an artistic mindset, I said AR, artistic mindset, meaning you overthink a lot, you're really creative, and of course it can be a nightmare, can't it, when you're in a bad mood, but when you're in a good mood it's amazing, and you feel emotions strongly. Well, that state of being without meditation and without appreciation is pretty hard, as we all know. But with those things you rise up and you're free, and it's amazing. But it's funny, if you've got that kind of overthinking mind, how much you don't want to meditate and how much you don't want to love, because there doesn't seem much to it. There's no thoughts there. And the ego just wants to feed on thoughts all day long. But that's the way, it was always the way, I don't want to say it always will, because who knows, but it's always the way up to now. And it works all the time. That's what I love about this work. It never doesn't work. If I think of my journey, I can never say these practices don't work, ever. If someone was to observe me and go, yeah, but look at that, it's because I didn't do the practices, or, I know where I'm at on them. It's not like I'd done them and it's like, oh, I'm really high vibration, everything's perfect. Oh, no, I know where I am. And it's hard, isn't it, sometimes to live this work seems so simple, but like a martial art, it requires practice to master. So, where are we going to begin?